Red Cup Talk with Brian Adams. Let's get into it. How you guys doing, man? Just checking in. This is Thursday, February the 8th at 10:34. Mm-hmm. And as of to date, the comedian Monique on that the Shannon Sharp interview, she's at 3.6 million views so far. Now I know it's nowhere close to what your boy Cat Williams did when he was on the podcast interviewing, but she do got a nice little chunk. That's a nice little number for her, for Monique, for anybody for that matter. And so I say to say that for the ones that didn't like her or don't like her, there's a problem. The bitch is back. Shout out to Elton John. But yeah, she back. She came on back in and she got a story to tell. And it was a good one too. I will say this. Some of this that she's talked about I've heard before. It's cold in here, so one night it's kind of little cold front, so I had to put a hat on. See, I got my long sleeve shirt on and stuff like that. I know normally being a wife beater of my pick, but not today. I'm cold. I'm trying to stay warm. But some of the stuff that she's talked about, Monique's talked about in this interview, this recent interview. I don't know if you've seen it on Shannon Sharp podcast, but some of the stuff she talked about, I've heard it before. From Lee Daniels to Oprah, Tyler Perry, Lionsgate. I've heard it. I remember hearing the story. And one good thing I can say about it is her story has never changed. It's always been the same. And when she tell it, she really go into a zone. Have you ever seen her talk about Oprah? And she just seems so passionate. You ever see her? She go into a zone, like her eyes. She just watch her eyes when you see her talk about these people and how they've done her wrong and stuff. She really go into a zone. And like I said, the story hasn't changed. She's getting therapy from what she said during the interview, but they really did a number on her and her family. Like she kept saying throughout the interview, her family took a hit. Her family took a hit. So I don't know if you guys seen that movie that she did recently, that scary movie for BET, where she played a medium. I think it was called Medium or something like that. Where she played the if you haven't seen it, take some time over to go to BET, subscribe to it, and for that little free trial or whatever, and watch that movie, because that was a really good movie. I think Next to Precious. Monique really is a good actor. Side note, Monique is really a good actor. Now, I'm not really a big fan of hers when she was on the Parkers, but I am a big fan of her stand-up and her movies when she acted in her movies, from Precious, How to Be a Player. I think she was in How to Be a Player, or Two Could Play That Game. It was Two Could Play the Game. She played that with Vivica A. Fox. People forget about that, but she was good in that. She was good in pretty much all the movies. She's pretty good in. She's a good actor. But when she comes to talking about that Oprah Winfrey and that Tyler Perry and how they're wrong they did, I'll be like, man, y'all better watch out. Y'all better stop messing with Monique, because you know she ain't crazy, but you know she from Baltimore. She'll pull up where you at. And ain't nothing wrong with that. I ain't mad at it. I am not mad at it, because you need more of those type of people in the world, in the industry. And I will say, these people are being ridiculed or looked at sideways because they seem to be telling the truth. From Cat Williams to Monique, a few other ones, they seem to be telling the truth about stuff. Taraji P. Henson, she even talked about her on the show, on the interview, and how, she even sucked it in and said that her approach, she talked about the same stuff that Taraji P. Henson is crying about now 10, 15 years ago, but her deliverance was different, and that's probably why it didn't catch track, you know. And she even brought that up. She even talked about that. I didn't think that she was going to touch on that because most of the time, certain people, individuals, they don't like this, you know, I guess highlight their wrong or highlight something that, not necessarily they wrong, but highlights that they could have done something differently. Usually it's always the other person's, always outward. It's always the other person's that was at fault. But yeah, she brought that up. But maybe her deliverance was you know, she could have delivered it differently. What she said was she was a big fat black woman that was invited to the party. How dare you speak up? You should be happy somebody invited you. And she's talked about that before in some of her other interviews. And again, she never wavered against that either. With this interview, it was really good. It was kind of lengthy, but it was pretty good. Precious got her a award. She won what was that, an Oscar for Precious? So that should have put her in a different bracket for actors. Let her tell that she don't do the she don't show up and do a tryout, so to speak. I guess I don't know how they selected it, but in their contract, they have to come at her and offer her the part or offer her. I don't know how that's done. I'm not in the business like that yet, but basically she didn't have to try for this stuff. And she said Precious was something that she did for 50 grand because it was a independent film. It was a film for a friend. At the time, her and Lee Daniels were really good friends. And I guess they still are because he was the only one amongst all the ones that she talked about that did it wrong that actually had the balls to come up to apologize. And I remember they saying the clips of that she was at a show and he was at that show and he came up on stage and apologized. And she also highlighted that he apologized not just to her, but later on, I guess, to her family, because he realized that, you know, they really did take a hit for stuff that they probably shouldn't have had to go through. How about that? I don't know because I wasn't there. But some of the stuff she probably could have been, some of the stuff probably could have been avoided if people would have spoke up. And I guess that's why she's such a big advocate about speaking up and telling your truth, telling the truth that you know. You know, she did talk about that with Shay Shay. She said, you know, I don't want to keep calling Shay Shay. Shannon Sharp. I feel funny saying Shay Shay. Shay Shay. And he's a big older man. You're Shay Shay, you think somebody teenager. But anyway, she talked about how I got a little sidetrack. Oh boy. But with Precious, I just kind of figured that, you know, she did a good part. She did a good role. That was good for her. That was definitely good for her, for Monique. Hell, I even walked away from the movie like I didn't like her and her character in that. And I think I've only seen Precious maybe twice. And most Monique's films, I don't mind watching a lot, again and again. Like that horror movie that she did on BET. I don't mind watching that, you know, on the weekends or something. I ain't got nothing to do. But that damn Precious, that should have been a horror movie. That motherfucker Precious was crazy. Especially that scene when she was standing at the bottom of the steps, she was cussing at her and telling her that girl through the thing down. She ran up the steps. I was like, oh hell no. Yeah, Precious was that was a horror movie. That should have been a scary movie for real. That really should have been. But then she talked about Kevin Hart. She talked about how Kevin Hart did help her in the beginning, her and her family, because they realized that the hit that they were taking for some stuff that could have been avoided, and he did help her. But something about along the way, he was supposed to help her as far as getting her some project deals going. And maybe somebody got into Kevin Hart's ear and was like, you know, this brand, her brand, might tarnish your brand, so that might not be a good idea. And I'm 50-50 on that, because I took it as if, you know how when you're a teenager or you're a young adult and somebody just come in, not necessarily say you can't speak to them, but they give you a warning, hey, that crew that you're hanging out with or you've been, you know, running with, that's not the best for you. I see different, they may see different, somebody else may see different, but that might not be the best, you know. And I who knows? Maybe somebody got in Kevin's ear and said, you know, and when it comes to that money, I'm 100% with it. Kevin Hart is a tourist, just like I'm a tourist. And I feel like this, yeah, we really cool people, and I understand but if your stuff is bleeding over to messing with my money, I'm gonna have to retract and back up out of the situation as well. So I 50-50 with that, where she was talking about how Kevin Hart helped her and her family cut a check and helped her and the family, when in a time of need. And then when they were supposed to be doing some other work together, she reached out to the middleman that was between them two, and supposedly a message got miscommunicated that Kevin was supposed to help him, but then when it came time to doing it, they said the third party said that Kevin said no, he wasn't helping, he was backing out. And it's been 2 years since she heard from Kevin since then. But he did help her with the money deal. So I mean, like I said, I get that, and I've heard those type of stories. They're very similar to my own personal, sometimes you try to help people. You can't help them all the way, but you do what you can. That's one of those situations where I think somebody's on Kevin and was probably saying, you did what you could do. So that's all you can do. You do what you can. If you can't do no more, then you can't do no more, but do what you can. And then Monique also touched on Tiffany Haddish, the comedian Tiffany Haddish. I guess Tiffany Haddish said something smart about, in one of her interviews a while back, about Monique's husband, not liking Monique's husband, or Monique's husband was bad for her. Well, Monique responded to that in this interview. She said, well, Tiffany Haddish, if you didn't have two DUIs, if you had a husband like mine, maybe you wouldn't have two DUIs under your belt. Basically is what she was trying to say. Shots fired, I get it. Like I said, y'all better leave Monique alone with all this crazy stuff unless you got something to back it up with. But yeah, that was crazy. And then of course she talked about D.L. Hughley. Monique talked. This was a very intense interview. It was good, and it was very intense. Monique talked about D.L. Hughley. She brought up D.L. Hughley. I don't understand the matter of why D.L. Hughley feel like he needs to cuss and fuss at another woman. Anyway, I mean, it looks funny, you back and forth with a woman that I don't know, it just looks funny. You say your piece and you leave it alone. But I don't agree with D.L. Hughley with this. And he made comments already. I've seen a little bit of that video, but I didn't watch all of it. And I was like, come on, man. I mean, I get it. Yeah, she gonna retaliate, and she probably said some things. She said some things. He said some things, but clearly, like, she's talked about a lot of people, and not to say that you're not supposed to speak up for yourself, but I don't know. It just kind of rubbing it differently when you have a guy coming at a female like that. I don't know. It just rubs me different. It don't feel right. It don't seem right. It don't sit well with me. But yeah, she did talk about D.L. Hughley and how she went on a show or something, his talk show, radio show, and they played some type of stunt with it. They was asking questions, some like jokingly questions, playing a game at the end, and they said something about referring to her husband having sex with another man or without a condom or something like that. And she was like, what are you doing? I could see that she was trying to ignore or stay out of it. And I get that. I've seen that also, that confused look also on people before when they don't really want to touch on the topic. So they just act confused. Hell, I've played that role before, so I get it. That's why I know what it looks like. But she was like, what kind of games y'all playing? And she said she left the show and she called D.L. Hughley and she asked them about what they said, and he was kind of cold towards her, but she was able to get some type of, I guess, legal documents out which they couldn't air the interview, so it wasn't released. But she brought that up, and I just kind of thought that was crazy. But I've heard that story before too, so I've heard her talk about that in the past. And like I said, her stories never waver. They are always the same exact way. I know because I've heard them, and I'm a big Monique fan. I do like Monique. But yeah, it was this was different. It was definitely different for her. So but it was good. It was a good interview. One of those. It was long. It was kind of long, but it was one of those type of interviews where you could say, "This is an interview I would watch on a nice Sunday after dinner, maybe during dinner. If the game is not on, or if somebody's on the team is playing that you don't like, uh, or like I say, if the game's not on, period. That's something I would watch on a nice Sunday evening because it really is a good interview, but it is a little long, a little lengthy. So she talked about her dad, her and her dad. I guess an original beef. That's one thing that I was happy that she did speak on, was the beef between why the beef between her and Oprah originated in the first place. Because a lot of people didn't know the story; they heard bits and pieces, but she did explain that, and I guess they set that up perfectly for Shannon Sharp to ask the specific questions that she wanted to answer. Because I noticed that he was like reading his cue cards and was very specific what it was. It was like they were setting it up. They set this interview up very well. And she went into details. She went into details about how Oprah, you're going to have to watch all that. I ain't going to do all that. But I knew there was a story because, like I said, I've heard it before. But if you have an opportunity to go over there and check it out, she was saying her and her dad wasn't close. Her dad and her mom and the brother that caused some trauma to her as a kid, they were all on there. Originally, Oprah called her to say that, asked her for blessings to bring her brother on there for awareness for people in that space to do stuff like that, how to look out for those types of people. That was a promotion. That's what they were pushing. That's the narrative they was going at with this. And so Oprah did reach out to Monique and ask her if it was okay. Her brother, she said she didn't want to have no parts of it because I guess they wanted Monique to come on originally so the brother could apologize. But Monique said she didn't want to have no parts of it, but he could have changed, so go ahead and go with it. Then she said she started saying stuff with her mother and her father in commercials where they're promoting the special. And I thought that was kind of a low blow. Now, you call the woman, you say one thing, and then you turn around and do something else. That was kind of dirty. So I get that. I understand. That was just dirty. It was. There's no way to look at it. So, bringing you up to date with this Color Purple, she spoke on that and how Taraji P. Henson and the cast over there complained about the trailer having, I guess, bugs or roaches or something that was infested. Well, she said their trailer blew up. The trailer she had in Almost Christmas with Danny Glover, the movie that they were making with that, when they were making the movie, the trailer they were in, it blew up. Fortunately, they weren't in it. I guess they were out at the time, maybe eating, I don't know, but they weren't there. So it was no harm done to them, no casualties or anything. But she did speak on that. Yeah, man, that was crazy. Also I've heard that before as well. But she went into details with this one. But I did hear a while back about that when they were making that movie that there was some issues behind the scene with her and the producer, I think, the movie producer. So I do get that. Man, like I said, it was a good one. You should go check it out. One thing I would say too, before I let you guys go, I think her husband is good. For people always seem to be against her and her husband. For one, I would say too, he don't seem like he's going away no time soon. So we got to deal with him. But for two, I think it's good for her. She's a strong black woman. Nothing wrong with it. That's a good thing. She's from Baltimore, and that's a good thing. Nothing wrong with that either. But he's from Baltimore as well. So I do believe that it's a good thing for her to be able to have somebody that could keep her in line, so to speak, and not with the hand, but mentally. And he seems to be in her head mentally because she's always throwing out quotes from him. She's always talking about things that she's always highlighting things, conversations, how he kicks knowledge to her. And she eats it up for some reason. And it's good for her. She needs that. She explains why she needs that from her daddy. She calls him daddy, her husband. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, it's just that's their thing. But She talked about her two sets of kids. The first set was she had a son when she was back in the show business, was doing the podcast and all that. And she was, really big, and how she was chasing fame. She wasn't really focusing on her family as much back then. But now she has a second set of kids and another family. This is a third marriage. So she had a chance to do it over. And she's taking advantage of that, which is a good thing. This is good and healthy. All this interview, everything, the details, it was done right. And she's talking right. This is definitely good for her. So, I don't have anything to take away from this. Bad to take away from this. I don't. I really don't. I don't have anything bad to take away from this at all. This was a good interview. If you ever get an opportunity, like I said, just go over there and check it out. And see for yourself. If you like this video, my video, hit that like button. Show me some love. Subscribe to my channel so you can be up to date with all the content as I drop it. Red Cup Talk with Brian Adams. See y'all later.